This Miami Heat team is riddled with inconsistencies. I'm here to break down where they go from here after dropping another game in overtime to the Detroit Pistons just 2 nights ago. I'm going to break it all down on this episode of Heat Digest, but first remember, if you're a part of the 82% currently watching this video, not currently subscribed, and you want to stay up to date on everything Miami Heat, go ahead and scroll down and subscribe to the channel. We do appreciate all the love and support, so thank you guys so very much for everything. But now, let's get to it and break down the consistent struggles for this Miami Heat team. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we are riddled with inconsistencies. And now what do I mean by that? Well, we started the roll, and there's no way around it. We had won 4 games in a row over 3 very notable teams. The first, the Lakers, then Phoenix, then Cleveland, the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference, who started in a dominant fashion in the start this season, and then obviously beating up on Toronto, who did not have Scotty Barnes, I believe. But then we go on and we lose that 5th game consecutively, or not our 5th consecutive loss, but again, which would have been our 5th consecutive win, ends up being our first loss in 5 games. And again, it came to the hands of the Detroit Pistons, the sub 500 Detroit Pistons, who aren't even a top 8 seed in the very not so great Eastern Conference. I'll hold my tongue for just a second. They are currently now sitting at 11-16 after a 126 to 120 or 125 to 124 win over this Miami Heat team. Now, like I mentioned, the Heat were rolling. They had won 4 games in a row, and they looked damn good. But nothing. It wasn't Jimmy Butler coming out and scoring 30 points. It wasn't Tyler Hero dominating. It was more of Tyler Hero playing the same brand of basketball we had really got used to seeing up to this point in the year, with him being not so aggressive shooting the basketball, but playing a very well-rounded game of basketball and being the leader of this Miami Heat team. Bam Adebayo has slowly but surely got things going and has been a more rounded-out player, if you will, this year. Assist numbers are way up. The points are a little down, but the rebounding is still upwards of 8.5 to 9 a game, which is what we want to see out of our center/power forward in Bam Adebayo. But this loss, really, what did it look like? Well, we're first going to highlight Jimmy Butler, because I mentioned through that 4-game win streak, he wasn't a 30-plus point per game scorer. Yes, he came back from that injury where he missed 2 games, and he was damn good. He had arguably 2 of his best performances up to that point in the year, and then things kind of trickled back off. We got all the speculation surrounding Jimmy Butler and this Miami Heat team, and how they're apparently listening to trade offers for the multiple-time All-Star in Jimmy Butler. And then we had Jimmy's agent come out and really stomp on Shams for putting out that report and saying it's all fabricated, and then we had Shams double down, and then just as of today, December 17th, Shams went on the Pat McAfee show, if you know who that is, and he tripled down, saying that, yes, this is as vetted as of a report I will give you. I am not here to lie. I'm here to do my job, and that's what I'm doing. And again, this is all I'm reporting, that they are listening to trade offers for Jimmy Butler. And guess what? Last night, or 2 nights ago, Jimmy Butler went off. And whatever those trade packages were a few days ago, a week ago, they have now drastically changed, because Jimmy Butler made one thing clear, and that is that he is still that guy. 35 points, 19 rebounds, and 10 assists. And again, in a horrible losing effort to the Detroit Pistons for this Miami Heat team, 124 to 125. I say horrible because it resulted in a loss. Now, overall, Tyler Hero did not have the shots falling for him in this game, shooting 9 of 25 from the field, including 4 of 17 from behind the three-point line. We did see a little bit of him going back to that area where he does force a few things, but again, he was itching to get knocked down some shots. Seeing players like Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo knock it down at a 50% or better clip, he wanted to get in on the fun. It just never turned out, as again, he continued to miss, ending with 23 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist. I will say, for Terry Rozier, who still finds himself playing that really second unit type of role as the backup point guard here, being the biggest leader on coming off the bench, if you will. He provided 3 of 4 shooting, 1 of 4 from behind the three-point line, making all 4 of his free throws, adding 11 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds, 5 rebounds and 6 assists. Overall, a pretty good game from Terry Rozier, but I would not be surprised. The reason I bring him up and single him out as one of the many guys that, or the 4 guys that came off the bench for the Heat in this game, I wouldn't be surprised if we started to see the trade speculation pick up just a bit surrounding Terry Rozier, just due to the role he's currently playing on this Heat team. It resulted in a few wins for this Miami Heat team. It resulted in this Miami Heat team looking a little bit better offensively specifically, but again, I'm not sure if it's really going to work out, and players like Drew Smith have really picked it up this year. Pelle Larsson obviously has been in and out of the lineup due to injury, as well as just the lineup construction that Eric Spoelstra is trying to really create and get going for this Heat team so they can find a rhythm. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if Rozier found himself on the way out. Larson kind of filled that role for Rozier, especially by the hit midway to the end of this season due to Larson gaining more and more really experience. Now, to highlight the Eastern Conference standings, we are still in the thick of it without a doubt as teams are struggling. There's no way around that. If we look, we are currently the 6th seed at 13-11, just behind the Milwaukee Bucks, who are starting to find their groove and start to roll. Giannis is starting to look damn near unstoppable. They're getting Chris Middleton back, who's slowly but surely finding his way back onto the court, as again, he's just coming back from injury to start his NBA season, who are sitting at 14-11, followed by the Magic, in division rival, who are sitting at 17-11, then the Knicks at 16-10, and then the 2 1-2 seeds in the Eastern Conference in the Cavs and the Celtics at 23-4 and 21-5, respectively, as they are really rolling up to this point in the year. As no surprise, they are very good, well put together teams. But now to break down really what to expect from this Miami Heat team. Now, Jimmy Butler obviously having that monster performance, that 19 and 10 game, a triple-double, where he really stood out for this Miami Heat team, scoring late in that game with one shoe on, just doing all that Jimmy really could in that game. I will say the next 10 games for the Miami Heat look like this, and I think we have a chance to really go on a roll here. Now, depending on if Tyler Hero can find his shot in the next game or two. The Oklahoma City Thunder game on Friday is going to be a daunting task. We're facing one of the best defenses in the NBA, if not, or let me rephrase that, the best defense in the NBA in the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are on track to be one of the greatest defensive teams of all time, at least in the StatCast era, followed by the Magic twice in 3 games. Now, it's obviously OKC at home, in Orlando, at home versus Brooklyn, and then a 3-game road stand in Orlando, in Atlanta, in Houston, followed by a 3-game homestand, New Orleans, Indiana, Utah, then following the 10th game in Sacramento. Now, we know that we lost that last game to Sacramento. That will be a very fun game, but a long game away. The first game will be OKC, who plays tonight against those Milwaukee Bucks who are starting to roll in the NBA Cup Championship. So that should be interesting to see how that goes. But again, my money's on OKC as they simply are rolling. SGA is a MVP favorite if Jokic wasn't averaging 30, 12, and 10. But again, that's hypotheticals, and no one's going to really beat out Jokic unless OKC gets that 1, 2, or 3 seed in the West and really is dominant. But again, 2 massive games against Orlando. We need to win both of them. We're dropping games to teams that are sub 500, not in the playoff, in the Eastern Conference. We have to beat up on these teams. OKC's going to be a tough one. Orlando, they don't have Paulo. They don't have Franz. We should beat up on this team. They are still very well put together. They are going to play very tough, but despite that, we are more well put together as of now in the sense that we have more talent, more healthy talent at that. Usually it's the other way around. Last year, we were riddled with injuries. This year, we are riddled with inconsistencies, and if we can put some pieces together, we can beat Orlando at least one of these 2 times, and we can beat Brooklyn because they are a subpar team. Atlanta, subpar, a competitor that is going to give us a run because they just have the ability to do so with Trae Young and the other pieces. Jalen Johnson is a monster. Houston, young team that we can beat up on. Again, another good test for this Heat team. The New Orleans, Indiana, Utah, and Sacramento should all be dominant wins by this Miami Heat team in order to really get the ball going. If we can't find some wins in this part of the schedule, we are going to be in for some trouble. Again, we have to keep this race close. We have to beat the teams that are sub 500, teams that are not going to make the playoffs in order to really stay present in this playoff race, at least in that 4 to 5, possibly even that 3 range. If New York can slip up and we can get hot, we could definitely jump some spots here, especially with Orlando. These games could not be any more important for this Miami Heat team due to them being obviously in conference, but as well as in division and sitting above us in both of those standings. We have to put the pieces together and we have to win these games. Let me know down below what you guys think about Jimmy Butler and possibly being on the move after that performance. That trade package is going to look substantially different due to the performances of Jimmy Butler. I can't wait to see how it all plays out, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of Heat Digest.